All right. When Yolanda asked me a few weeks ago to speak at a different convention, I asked her, I said, okay, well, sure. What do I speak about? And she goes, well, kind of whatever you want. And that was, such firm direction. It really helped me a lot. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll just be honest and I'll tell you why. And then that became a lot more than what I knew I was going to say. But it boils down to what I'm going to tell you. And that starts with every morning when I wake up and put on a pair of scrubs, I know that it's another day when I won't come home quite the same as I left. Every shift I work as a nurse changes me, and every shift is hard. This job is hard, and it's certainly made me a different person. It's made me stronger, it's made me braver, it's certainly made me smarter. I laugh a lot more, I cry a lot more, and I'm more grateful than ever for what I get to do. When people ask me about my job, I tell them that it's hard to explain. And there are kind of two answers to the question. The simple answer is that I'm a critical care nurse. I work in an ICU. I work 3 or 4 12-hour shifts a week. I take care of really, really sick people. Some of them get better, some of them don't. And it's the best job in the world. But there's more truth behind that answer. I work in an ICU, and I never, ever know what I'm walking into at the beginning of a shift. 12-hour shifts are not 12-hour shifts. I take care of really, really sick people, and some of them get better, but some of them don't. The days when they do get better are amazing. Those shifts are what make all of this worth it, and those are the ones I try to think about. But there are shifts where my patients don't get better, and oftentimes those days are awful, and they break my heart. It is the best job in the world, but it's also the worst, and I love it, but there are moments that I hate it. That's the real truth. And when I tell people that, they ask me, they kind of look at me like I'm crazy, and they ask me, well, then why do you do it? And with every shift and every day, that answer continues to evolve and change, but the basis for it is that my faith plays a huge role in what I do, and it tells me that it's my calling. Both of my parents work in the medical field, so it was something that was normal to me growing up. It was something that I was always around. And I really liked learning, and I was good at taking care of people, and I put all that together, and I got nursing. When I was in nursing school, I wanted to move out here to Texas, and my parents were great. I dropped out of high school when I was 16. I took my GED, and I started nursing school, and I still don't know why they let me do that, but they trusted me, and they did, and I flew out here. I was 18, and I went to a hiring meet and greet for residents, and I went to the table that had the shortest line for an ICU job, and that was Metro, which is silly. Everyone should have been there. But I went there, and I didn't think anyone was going to hire me, but I sat down, and I interviewed with them, and they offered me a job, and they took a chance on me, and I am forever grateful for that. And as I started working at Metro and I learned how to be a nurse from the nurses that taught me on my unit, I didn't just gain a job, I gained a family. And I have been extremely blessed to work with exceptional nurses and such good providers. I didn't know it starting out, but I know it now, that the unit that I call home is family, and that it's very special. Not every ICU functions like that, and it's a very hard job. We stand at the bedside in the face of death for a lot of hours each week, and there is not a different group of people that I would want to do this job with. There are shifts that are draining and exhausting, but those are the shifts that define us as nurses. Those are the days when I'm reminded why I want to do this job, to dedicate myself to the care of others. At the heart of my career as a nurse is always my patient. At the end of my career and my days spent as a nurse at the bedside, I'm not going to remember the number of shifts or the number of procedures that I helped with. I remember people that I took care of. I just see a slideshow of their faces. I see the 90-year-old man who came in over the weekend of the Kentucky Derby. He was intubated the first day I had him, and he slowly got better, and we were able to extubate him, and his family was there. And as he got better over the next day, we started talking about his life, and we got talking about horses, and I grew up in equestrian, and we shared stories. And he shared with me how it started with just him and his wife, and they'd go to the Derby every year, and that turned into them taking their kids and then their grandkids and their whole family. And I went into work that Sunday, and his family was there at their bedside, and they were helping him comb his hair and put on his favorite derby hat. And I remember promising him that I would take a 2-minute break to watch the race with him, even though he knew I was busy. I remember seeing the joy in his eyes as he upheld a long-held family tradition, even in a hospital room. I remember thinking clearly then, standing at his bedside, that these are the moments that make this job worthwhile. And as I stood in that room, it wasn't the race that I watched, but a family tradition getting another year. Those are the moments that steal my breath as a nurse. It's one of the great joys of nursing, is getting to care for the patient as a whole. And while I gave him medication to help his heart, giving him another year of watching the Derby with his family was medication for his heart as well.
One shared experience to the endless sea of nurse experiences throughout the profession of nursing. Methodist Healthcare and the San Antonio Express News salute our area nurses.